This podcast is brought to you in association with From Sweden with Love, one of the oldest fan sites dedicated to the world of 007. Online since 2004 and also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Why not check them out today? JamesBond007.se. Nobody does it better. Or as they say in Stockholm these days, ingen gör det bättre.
Every film every stunt every story Ever heard of Evel Knievel? Welcome to the YouTube series. I'm John Orty. I'm a stunt historian, author, broadcaster and producer, and I'm the man behind the stunts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome to this series of YouTube shorts dedicated to the action and stunts in the James Bond films. My new book, Ever Heard of Evel Knievel, is the definitive guide to everything action-packed in the film franchise. The coordinators, the stories behind these incredible moments, all captured on film. We'll talk through some of those great stunt sequences and a few you may have missed along the way, so buckle up. You could be in for a bumpy ride. The book, podcast and YouTube series are also to be used as educational tools to learn from and to wonder at. Welcome to 1977 and The Spy Who Loved Me. It's the biggest, it's the best, it's Bond and beyond. A huge shot in the arm for the franchise and a film favourite. Fans the world over, Roger Moore too. Let's explore some of these amazing action sequences, and we'll start with a little skiing trip.
But James, I need you.
So does England.
Let's take a look at this incredible pre-title and try and name a few names. The Bond doubles on this, Ed Lincoln, Robert Young, Stefan Zukor and of course Rick Sylvester, and the little team of skiers, there's 4 skiers there: Sandro Gordio, Renee Seller, Stefan Zukor and Manfred Kastner are the bad guys chasing Bond down the hill. Couple of edits along the way. This, for instance, this first part is Ed Lincoln. There's the guys there, there's 3 of them as they ski down, then they split. So Ed Lincoln is now being followed, of course, by Willie Bogner on camera. There's the 4 as they split through. Stefan Zukor is doubling Michael Billington. So Ed does this first part, skis through the arches. Then, as they break away, Robert Young then takes over coming down here into the powder, slightly more powdery snow. And then the cut as it's time for the shot here. Robert spinning round and taking that initial shot, and down goes Stefan Zukor. Now, the flip, and it's a 540. And look, he's just looking under his arm to see pitching where it is. There's an edit here. There, I think there we are. There's the shot. So firstly, it's Ed Lincoln does the first one and Robert Young does the second. This is Robert Young's take. So that's the one they used in the picture. And of course, he's never going to hit the landing. It's drift snow below him. So he gets an opportunity to land in drift snow. Still not easy from there. And then they cut to Ed Lincoln then shoulder charging the guy there before they cut through to Rick Sylvester. And what a job he did. Let's find out from Rick Sylvester now about his incredible base jump back in June of 1976, where the weather and time was definitely against them. Here he is, just getting into the chopper to go back up to the first position.
Well, we all jump in, and sure enough, there's clouds all over the place, but it's not precipitating. It's not raining or snowing. So we hurry up, and we barely get the thing. So they barely got it. They barely got it. And then there was the problem where I opened the chute lower than expected. The guy, the cameraman, and the chopper, which is out tangentially to where I'm skiing, shooting me at an angle. I dropped out of frame. I went lower than I could before I opened the chute. And the guy the Canadian who's right below me, that's not going to be an important shot, that's just a cut in. The guy on the edge who could see with his camera, he saw the whole rundown, and he could also see me go into space. He says, I think I have a good shot. But that was never intended to be the master shot, just a backup or something's going to be edited in. So now the film, before everyone leaves, the film is sent down to the lab to get, the daily report. And in Montreal, and they get the word. It's good, or it's good enough, something like that. Well, thank goodness, because there would have been no second chance. Now, I'd had an expert from the company that had sewn together the parachute was with me for most of the time on Baffin Island, but he was getting time off from work, not being paid. Finally, he had to leave. So when I did the jump, I repacked the chute myself. I didn't know until I went down to Southern California, and the next time I used it, I packed it wrong. I had what's still the only malfunction I've had in my life, where I had to cut away from it and open the reserve, which it was not any, it would have been kind of dramatic, the one chute's bad, then he has to, but it wasn't the Union Jack. It wasn't the shot it was supposed to be. So if we'd had to do it a second time, I would have had a malfunction up there, and it never would have been the shot that it was intended to be.
I think it's time we took a little trip to Egypt, and in particular Cairo, and experience its beauty, its culture, its terrible assassin quota. Anyway, if anyone can deal with assassins, it's Roger as Bond. This great rooftop fight in Cairo, and it just goes to highlight the way in which Martin Grace was a really perfect double for Roger, fighting Milton Reed here. Milton Reed, of course, you'll remember from Dr. No, was one of the thugs beating up Bond at the table. Now look, Roger stands here and just takes a little step to the right, allowing Milton to dive in and catch him. Great punches here as well. Roger really throws a great punch. Look at this. Measures everything perfectly. Martin, Roger, and the back click. Roger. That's Roger there, and then he gets thrown, and Martin goes. Now look, Martin goes to land on his right shoulder, puts his right shoulder in, so he's going to land, and then Roger does the pickup shot and lands on his left shoulder. Milton Reed throwing good punches as well. These are nice on screen. Look, bang, kicks, lots of kicks. That was Roger's thing, really. They realised that the kick kind of worked. And then Roger, straight Martin now, doubles, dives in, and is thrown around. Not something that Roger needs to do. They've had enough issues with the Cairo shoot. And nice little routine here. Bang! And then to catch him with the tie. He is doubled for the fall by Jack Cooper. Jack Cooper sorts out the landing rig and falls into some boxes and mattresses. Here he goes.
What a helpful chap.
Certainly was. And there he is lying there at the bottom on his own. It's It's amazing to think that this, the 007 stage at Pinewood, was built especially to become this, the interior of the Liparis supertanker where the end battle took place. Let's explore it in a bit more detail, shall we? So we start with the monorail. Driving the monorail is stuntman Colin Skeeping. We'll see him again shortly. He is told to call over Paul Weston. Paul gets called over and gets kicked in the mush. Look at that. Oh, over he goes. Now, into the armoury, and the two guards inside the armoury. Bill Cummings is the first one we're going to see. There he is. He's that side. And this side is Eddie Eden. And then they get fired upon. Over he goes. And he is found. There he is, lying on the mats that he's just landed on. And everybody else works around him, which is nice. Keep it simple. Then the battle starts in earnest. There's so many people to mention here. I mean, really, it's like a free-for-all, but really anybody who was available was used. Here is Fred Haggerty. Fred Haggerty was Krylenko in From Russia With Love, and there he is on the good guy's side for a change. And over here on the other side is Tim Condren. Tim Condren is fighting next to Roger. Chris Webb comes in here, throws the grenade. Grenade lands, big explosion, and Colin Skeeping, who we saw earlier, is now blown through the air, landing in right in the middle of shot. Look at the just as he comes down. Check the back of his overall. Look, it's colour. Look at the colour of it. That's the explosion. That's the cordite charge as it goes off. There is Paul Weston being killed, not for the first time, I might add, as he gets killed quite a bit on this picture. There he is, falling to his doom. And I think we should now introduce Paul and Rocky and let them talk us through the rest of the action.
Yeah, I remember three of us being up on about 36 feet up at the end of 007 stage, falling, explosions go off, and there was Terry Plummer, Greg and myself at the top, and the explosion goes off and we've got a fall 36 feet into the water of the tank. But it was only like 7 foot deep at most, and we had the rails underneath where the subs go backwards and forwards on. So we had to hit flat. We couldn't go in deep. So in the explosion, you go off and you just time it so that you're getting over onto your back to hit as flat as possible. We had wetsuits underneath. But myself being the lightest, I was fine. I went off and hit the water. Greg and Terry Plummer hit, and they were. Greg was black and blue all the way up one side where he hit it so hard, but one was nice, which I loved doing, was the mini moke that went into the side. I was the guy on the back, and I knew I could take off, and I knew I could get as far out in the water as possible. Yeah. And that's always good, That's a nice one. You get the flick as it turned over, and off I went into the midair. It was lovely. Brilliant.
I got invited to drive a mini moke. I took the mini down the promenade, up a ramp as it explodes in front of me. Inside left of me was George,
Jimmy Lodge is in there with you.
And behind me, standing up, was Paul Weston. And as I go up the ramp, they explode it, come off the ramp the other side, hit the deck, and go into the water. And Paul Weston does a dive into the water, and Jimmy Lodge comes in it with me.
That's right.
And they had flames in the water, gas flames, gas flames coming out.
Right, so it's being fed, the fire's being fed.
Yeah, and that was exciting. One of my first jobs driving a car in the water.
Did you get a chance to, I say this purely from an interest point of view, but how much rehearsal time did you get with that type of gag in order to
that
judge?
Type of gag, let's put it this way, it wasn't a lot of rehearsal time because, you drive a car down the thing, you go up a ramp, and he does the explosion. The timing was getting it right with the special effects.
Right.
So I suppose, when he told me about it, I spoke to the special effects, and he told me when he was going to blow it. So he said, you get to here, when you get to there, I'll hit the throttle, bang, and we go. So we rehearsed it a couple of times. I went past it instead of going up it 2 or 3 times. Then he said, "You ready, Rocky?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." Okay. So off we went, boom, 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 hit the throttle, hit the ramp, up in the air, boom, into the water. So I suppose it was just a morning's rehearsal, really.
Right.
There's not a lot you can do other than that and just hit it, you know.
Yeah, get it from A to B.
The timing was the thing of me hitting the ramp and him blowing it, the special effects man, Kit West, blowing it as I hit it.
Right.
You know, didn't want to go before, didn't want to go after. As I hit it, he blows it.
Right.
That was the timing.
Well, I mean, it's certainly visually very exciting, and it did the job. And it was caught from a couple of angles as well, so it made it look very good, yeah.
The front shot, I think, looked the best. Where it
yes,
went up
I think
the
so,
ramp
yeah.
and you see it in the air, and then it lands, and then kicks off into the water.
Yeah.
No, very
So
good.
if you've enjoyed today's show, and let's be honest, why wouldn't you? Then subscribe. The buttons are down here. Click the subscribe button and enter a world of excitement. Simply the touch of a button. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.